Big Zay.
Morning, Brad.
Morning, boys. What's going on?
Well, we're debuting again this morning on CHSN. We're not debuting. We are continuing, and we want to thank everyone for tuning in.
Simulcasting.
Simulcasting, that's the word. It'll come to me. So, Brad, we look at this game, and we heard Ben Johnson use the word desperate to win. I thought it was really interesting. I get what he was saying. He's talking about you want to get to 11 wins, and you look at the schedule and all the rest of it. You're between the tough two Packer games that are emotional, but this is a game you got to win, and he's really made that evident. First of all, do you agree with the 11 wins being the necessity to get to the playoffs, and define desperate as he used it?
Yeah, well, certainly I agree with the 11 wins, unless some teams start falling flat on their face, and there might be too many head-to-head games where someone's got to win, right? That it's going to push the number to 11 as the minimum to get into the playoffs. And I think they're desperate for a win. I agree. Like, they're running out of bullets here. They got 4 games left, and they need to get one this week. They need to get back on track. I don't think that's overstating things, and I think they're also cognizant of the fact that they can't overlook a really struggling Cleveland Browns team that's coming to town.
I thought it was interesting hearing Ben Johnson talk with respect about the Browns defense being more than just Myles Garrett. Everybody knows about Myles Garrett and the havoc he can wreak on an offense, but I also think he mentioned Schlesinger and he compared him to Luke Kuechly, and he talked about other weapons on that defense. Brad, how good, based on what you have seen and who you have talked to, how good is this Browns defense?
I mean, that's a really good defensive unit, because for them to statistically be where they are in a lot of the categories, it's impressive considering how bad their offense has been and how much they've struggled, right? Like, that defense hasn't been put in a lot of great positions, and they're certainly dealing with a couple injuries now that are going to be maybe problematic for them. Hopefully the Bears can take advantage of that, being able to run the football, but that secondary has been great. They've got a guy that with a similar resume somewhat to Dennis Allen, right? And Jim Schwartz, a guy who's got experience as a head coach, who's been a coordinator for a very long time in the NFL, who, has a program in place, knows what he's looking for. Like, from those standpoints, they're similar, and they've got some, like I said, some terrific players there, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Bears offense and how the Bears offensive front reacts and handles the situation.
I'm curious, Brad, as we look at Cleveland, you can't get past the disastrous decision they made with Deshaun Watson, the amount of money they guaranteed him, the disaster that has been. They had a quarterback there in Baker Mayfield who has obviously, I know Tampa's struggling right now, but he's moved on to Tampa and he's had a career for himself. Meanwhile, the Deshaun Watson thing's still ongoing. They got to get off that money somehow. What's your take on this Shadir Sanders stuff? What is your belief in terms of what you're seeing from him, the fact that it took for so long for him to get the opportunity and now being guaranteed to start for the rest of the year?
Well, the Dylan Gabriel experience was, I think, somewhat predictable for the Browns. He's the other rookie quarterback that they drafted this season. It was, dink to the left and dunk to the right. It's hard to win in the NFL. playing that way. They put Sanders out there, and all of a sudden things have gotten a little bit more explosive. And he put up some pretty big numbers this past week, right? You talk about what did he throw for 360? I want to say
Ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah, and push the
Tennessee.
ball down the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're absolutely right. They were playing the Titans, and you need to take a look at what helmets the other team's wearing. But watching how he plays, he goes out there big game hunting, and he's gotten Jerry Jeudy, who was doing basically nothing for the Browns and is still a pretty good football player, back involved in the offense. I think his favorite target is Harold Fannin, the tight end, a rookie. Believe he's from Bowling Green. I know he was a Mac product, so that'll make Dave smile.
Harold Fannin Jr. Yes, he caught 17 passes in the bowl game last year. Maction.
Well,
all of it, Brad.
Very important information.
He had a huge season before the bowl game. I can tell you that because talking to scouts last year. And Fannon's his I think favorite target right now. A little early. It's only started the 3 games. Completion percentage is a disaster right now. He's a tick under 53%, but we'll see. I look at it like, boy, this is the kind of guy who Dennis Allen could lay some traps for on Sunday, and you could be watching not a lot of football and all of a sudden see like 3 takeaways for the Bears. You get a short fields against that Browns defense, and then Cleveland's going to be in a tough spot. But he's brought them a spark, the Browns. But I don't know that I'd characterize it as more than that at this point.
I got plenty of other trivia on Harold Fannin Jr., but we'll move on for a guy that caught 117 passes as a senior at Bowling Green. Nonetheless, Brad, let's look at the Bears offense. I believe it was only a simulation yesterday, but Rome Odunze was listed as limited. I thought that he had a stress fracture. Will he be on the field when they're on the field today? Do you expect him to contribute this week? What's the right play there?
Well, I mean, I don't know what the right play is there because I don't know what his level of discomfort is, right? If it was beyond discomfort, you would imagine he was shut down. Based on the fact that they threw a limited on him yesterday in an estimation, you would think he would be at least that he would be limited today, but I don't know that for sure. Like if he goes through the walkthrough this morning before they get out to practice and it doesn't feel right, probably doesn't make sense to run him out there for practice. Took last week off. I can't imagine this is something that will heal with 1 week off. So I think it's probably how does he feel? How does he feel he can perform with the injury? Because obviously all parties involved deemed that a little time off would probably benefit him.
This segment with Brad Biggs is sponsored by Estwing Professional Tools, made in the USA for over 100 years. Estwing.com. I'm curious, Brad, we talk about players coming back from injury. We talk about who could be available, etc. This is the last week for Tremaine Edmonds, right? So conceivably he would be back and able to practice against the Packers. Any idea? Have you seen him at all? Is he advancing? Has he started running on his own or anything? I know he's still on injured reserve for another game, but wouldn't that be a surprise if he ended up being back in time for the Green Bay game on Saturday night at home?
Certainly seen him around. He's been upbeat and good spirits, I can tell you that much. I would think by this point he's been doing some running under the supervision of an athletic trainer. You would think certainly been doing work in the training room, the weight room. Could he be back for that Packers game? I don't know. Here's the one factor you got to consider with that ball game. is that'll be on a short week. That's
Right.
a Saturday game. So maybe if they're going to practice more than once, I'd be a little surprised. Maybe a short second practice. So I don't know. The only thing I can tell you is they were relatively confident they'd have him back before the regular season was over. How much time they'll need to ramp him up, we'll have to see. We've certainly seen setbacks with some of their other players, but all these injury situations are unique and different.
When you look at Azie Chapillo, Brad, do you see somebody who has vastly improved to the point where now he's trusted? Do you see an organization that's seeing what maybe it wants to see, because if he's successful at that position, can save them a lot of money moving forward and certainly answer a problem that's been lingering? What do you see with Azie Chapillo, and what do you make of the progress he's made?
He's certainly made progress. There's no question about that. And that's a credit to him after, kind of hitting those stumbling blocks in back at about the second week of August, really. So that's been encouraging. They didn't, and remember at the time, it's Braxton and Theo's the guy that comes in next, and people were, out of their minds, like this is a blown draft pick, and the parents are like, the guy needs some time. Nobody's given up on him or anything of that nature. I think, to me, it's really premature to think about left tackle of the future or anything like that. He's got, what's he got? He doesn't have 300 snaps on offense yet. And so he's going to need some more. You go back and you look at how the Bears approached the game last week at Green Bay, and it's a ton of bootleg and all this other stuff because of concern for how things were going to hold up front. And that's smart. And I would expect them to have a very detailed plan for Myles Garrett this week. You're right. If he can factor as the left tackle in the future, that's huge for them. I don't know if it saves them money or a really high draft pick, because good luck buying yourself a left tackle on the market. Like you can go out and buy yourself interior guys. Those left tackles typically are not available. So I would say it's been encouraging, no question about it, but it's just really premature to start talking about the starting left tackle into the future, in my opinion.
When we talk about all of these players that have come back, you look at Jalen Johnson and kind of the struggles. It's almost like he's going through
a tough time.
It's like he's going through training camp, Brad. It's going to take him. Every game should help him get better, but he's not necessarily anywhere near you need him to be. How many of these guys are going through that? Did you think DJ Edwards had a good game? Seemed like it was good to get him back. How is this? It's just hard to determine who can just come back and play and who has to kind of go through this process, and whether this is a necessary game just in terms of getting yourself together toward the end of the season.
Yeah, I think all those guys that have missed considerable time this season have got some rust to knock off. Jalen that was not a great game for him by any stretch. Like
right.
him kind of standing there with sort of the bewildered football player look on his face on that third and one run play to Josh Jacobs, the toss outside. You got to be a little more involved than that. So can he get better here over the final couple weeks with practice? You would hope so. I think he'd be honest, and he's not at his best right now. And I don't think but nobody expects him to be either. Like if you thought he was going to be plugged back in and you were going to have 100% of whatever the best Jalen Johnson was in the past. You were not being very realistic, but you've got to have you got to show a little more want to and desire on some plays that, on occasion, even when you're on an island, that involve some physical football play.
Brad, I really appreciated you tweeting out yesterday the 6 coldest games at Soldier Field in preparation for Sundays.
This will be the 4th, right?
I don't know. We
Tied?
don't know. Do you know how cold it's going to be?
10.
We don't know.
We're told
You can't-
10.
What,
I was told it's 0 at
I
8
don't
a.m.
know.
It will be up to 6.
You have no idea.
By 10 o'clock.
You're just guessing.
I'm telling you
It's
what I was
guesswork.
told.
Brad, the
The
question is,
weatherman.
how much will this affect the game at all, if it will at all?
I think, the effect will be dependent on how windy it is. You look at the list of.
Hold on, I don't see any wind chills. I don't see any wind miles per hour in your tweet.
Yeah, Dave, get your pal Amy Freeze on if you need that. If you want to talk football, talk to me, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. The wind would be the factor here. One of those super cold games was like back in 2013 against Dallas. That was a night game, and I think at least 4 of the games on this list are primetime games, but that Dallas game was a night game. It's 8 degrees out, wind chill of -9, and it's 45 to 28. So I don't know.
Good point.
Certainly the weather did not affect the scoring. Buffalo hung 35 on a really bad Bears defense. So if it's very windy, it could impact the game. Otherwise, I don't know. It makes a huge difference.
Wasn't the 2013 game when Ditka addressed the crowd in the cold? Wasn't that
that sounds right? Yeah,
the Go Bears at the end of his address?
When they waited, 20 years too long to retire his number or whatever it was.
Might have been.
Great.
Great.
Thank goodness. You know what? They got it right, though, and they got it right when Ditka could be there.
Yep.
And so that's what matters.
Way to find the positive there, Brad.
Always.
It's what you do.
Just on the way out, I'm curious if you expect there to be any kind of, I don't know, a special kind of outside practice even before you get to that. I mean, I'm sure today they'll be outside, right? They won't be behind closed doors.
I would guess practice is going to be outside today. They were outside last week when they practiced before going. I would think they're outside today, but we'll know here in a couple hours.
Great stuff, Brad. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Brad.
Have a great day, guys.